Manchester City have finally won their long-awaited Champions League. The Nuggets are one win away from winning their very first Larry O'Brien trophy. We've got players going off in the MLB, but we've got some big teams struggling as well. Could Chase Young be on the move? Let's get into the crossover. Manchester City have finally done it. The trophy that has been eluding them. They completed the treble today. The first team since the 1999 Manchester United to complete the treble. I'm going to be honest, I was extremely nervous for City when I first saw the lineups come out. Kyle Walker didn't start at right back. Inter Milan started Dzeko. We talked about it yesterday in yesterday's video. Should they start Dzeko? Should they start Lukaku? Lukaku did see the field, and I'm going to be very honest, that first half had me nervous for City. City came out very flat. They didn't look like they had too much excitement in them. Not much was going on. Inter was pressing, not allowing City to play from the back. I think it was a perfectly played game by Inter, but City did come out on top. They had an early chance with that curler from Bernardo Silva, which didn't miss the goal by much, but after that, I didn't see much from City. We had the Haaland one-on-one with Onana, which kind of just hit Onana. It kind of looked like he did move his hand a little bit, but it looked like Onana had really nothing to do about it. He kind of just got hit with it. On the other hand, Ederson in the City goal looked very, very shaky. In the second half, we did have a little bit more intensity. The game started to liven up a little bit, but honestly, really disappointed with Lautaro Martinez. I feel like he was kind of just looking for fouls the whole game. And shortly before City's goal, there actually was a foul on Lautaro Martinez from Gundogan, which could have resulted in a big free kick for Inter Milan. But again, he didn't get given that foul because he had been flopping all game. He wasn't on the ref's good side. Lautaro Martinez, very disappointing. Also, before City's goal, we have Lautaro Martinez one-on-one with Ederson at a very tough angle. Lautaro Martinez, you can kind of see that he looks up. He sees Lukaku. He could have easily played that pass, and had he played that pass, I feel like Lukaku could have buried that goal, could have had a completely different game. I could be on here saying that Milan had won, but Lautaro Martinez very selfish in that moment, not looking for Inter to score, looking for himself to score. So, tough game by Lautaro Martinez, but then Bernardo Silva, again, one of, if not the best player on the field, in my opinion, tonight. Makes a beautiful run down the wing. He tries to throw a pass in. It was deflected. There was kind of shouts for a handball. It seemed like both teams kind of froze a little bit. The ball just moved out towards the PK spot. Rodri comes in the first time he kind of moved up all game. He comes in with a beautiful strike. Near post. Just curves perfectly around the defenders. Beautiful, beautiful goal. I'm happy for Rodri that he was able to get that goal coming in to replace Fabinho on that team. Not an easy move. He was criticized in the beginning, but today he gets probably one of the more famous goals for Manchester City. Inter responds well. Lukaku comes in. I feel like Lukaku had an instant impact. One of the reasons I think he should have started the game. He kind of provided that big presence up top. They were able to curl some balls in. In the 70th minute, DeMarco, header against the crossbar, bounces back to him, and Lukaku gets in the way. Lukaku just can't seem to catch a break with those. We've seen it before. It happens again. Even if Lukaku wasn't there, I feel like Ruben Dias would have been behind on the goal line and stopped it. 88th minute, the more nervy moments for City as Lukaku gets a perfectly placed ball curled into him. Ederson kind of moving to his left. Lukaku heads it right at Ederson. I feel like that was kind of a poor header right there. The right side of the goal was fully open, but on the rebound, Ruben Dias clears it. Another top performer for today. For me, the two players of the game were Ruben Dias and Bernardo Silva. Again, not trying to be biased here because they are both Benfica players and Portugal players, but insane games for them. We have to give a whole bunch of respect for Inter. Nobody really expected anything from Inter at the beginning of the season. They came out, they gave City probably one of the closest fights that they've had all year. Again, not City's best game. City coming off of an FA Cup, coming off of fighting for the Prem. very pushed 3 weeks here for City, but they were able to get it done. Were they the best team on the night? I personally don't think so. I think Inter did more to win the game than City did. City got lucky with that little chance by Rodri, but other than that, didn't really produce much. Also, Inter didn't produce much. It was kind of a back-and-forth game. Second half was a lot more contentious from both sides, and once Inter did go down, they were forced to come up. Whole bunch of respect for Inter, but man, what a magical City season it was. They came out, they were chasing Arsenal all year. They finally catch up to them, overtake them, beat United. Beat United in the FA final. Extremely big rivalry there. Obviously, the Manchester derby. They were able to come out, beat United in the FA Cup final, and now they go ahead and win the Champions League, etch their names on history forever. The first treble since 1999. And I forgot to mention KDB coming out in the first half. Again, very nervy moment for City there. Once I saw him coming off, I didn't think that they would be able to go on and win the game. KDB injured again, just like he was in 2021 in the final against Chelsea. But fortunes were different this time. They lost 1-0 to Chelsea, but today they were able to pull out a 1-0 win. So hats off to City. Extremely beautiful season for City. 100% deserved. Again, weren't the best team on the night, in my opinion, but they were the best team overall all year in Europe. Kings of Europe, and deservedly so. So shout out to City and a whole bunch of respect for Inter Milan. I saw it firsthand against Benfica. When Inter was placed up against Benfica, I did want Milan instead of Inter, but Inter gave us the work. They had given Porto the work. So Inter Milan, extremely, extremely well that they presented themselves, and the Inter fans singing all game, even after they lost. Just beautiful performance all around by Inter. So hats off to both teams as the club football comes to an end for the season. And like I said in yesterday's video, Haaland 100% deserves the Ballon d'Or. He was by far the best player in Europe this year. Golden Boot in the Prem, a whole bunch of contributions in the Champions League and the FA Cup final. Haaland has to win this year's Ballon d'Or. He provided everything that City needed in losing Aguero and not having a striker for a little bit. We see the stark difference last year's City to this year's City, able to win the treble. Haaland, if he does not win the Ballon d'Or is 100% rigged and a joke of a award. Now, club football over. It's time for some switch-ups, for some acquisitions here in the offseason. And City getting right back to it, looking to sign Kovacic from Chelsea. This is a story that kind of broke a couple of weeks ago that City were interested in Kovacic. And now that the season is over, interesting to see what's going to happen there. Also, are they going to re-sign Gundogan? That's a big question mark there. I personally believe, in my opinion, that they should. I feel like he provides a lot to the team, as evidenced in the FA Cup. Will Bernardo Silva stay? Selfishly, I would like to see him at Benfica. But he seems happy today after the game. He said how emotionally and mentally exhausting this season was on him. It kind of sounded like a little bit of a goodbye, but we'll see what happens there. Going on to the team that City were chasing all year, Arsenal obviously put together a great first half of the season. Second half of the season kind of fumbled it a little bit. Seemed like the moment got a little bit too big. They weren't able to grind out results here at the end, so they are looking to re-up on that lineup. And what a way to do it than getting Declan Rice, who just got the Conference League with West Ham. Massive player in the midfield, so it seems like almost a done deal that Arsenal will be getting Rice. They're also working on re-signing Odegaard, which is going to be huge. They have signed Martinelli, Saka, Ramsdale, and Saliba. So young core over there at Arsenal. It seems like they're getting their identity sort of under Arteta. So extremely, extremely exciting future here for Arsenal, and they're possibly still in on the Cancelo. Again, that situation with City kind of left out on a sour note. He went to Bayern. It seems like Bayern doesn't want him back next year. So possibly Cancelo to Arsenal as well. That's something to keep an eye out on. And he's also got interest from Barcelona. So safe to assume he'll be on one of those two teams. Some confirmed news that we have here. Maccalister will be a Liverpool player next year. He's going to provide a lot to that midfield again. Maccalister thrived in the World Cup. And at Brighton, obviously, he was a little bit too big for that team, unfortunately. although it seemed that he loved the team, it's time for him to move on to bigger and better things. So on to Liverpool goes Maccalister. Best of luck to him at Liverpool. And Leicester recently just got relegated, so we already kind of assumed and knew that most of their players would be leaving. And today, Tielemans has announced that he will be joining Aston Villa. Another midfielder that's going to be leaving Leicester is James Madison. So, Ange Postecoglou, obviously old Celtic manager. I probably didn't say that right. Old Celtic manager who has been appointed as Tottenham Hotspur's manager, asked for James Madison, but Newcastle have kind of been working on a deal for a year now to try to get James Madison. So we'll see where James Madison ends up going, Tottenham, Newcastle, but he will be on the move. Keeping with Tottenham, they've got some Maguire rumors going on. Now, personally, I don't know. I kind of don't see it, but Maguire could also be going on his way to Tottenham. And keeping it with Manchester United, we have a new Qatari bid for Manchester United, but is not without controversy. So there was rumors with some connections with PSG owner Al Khelafi. He came out today and said that no, that is not the case. My mind is completely focused 100% on PSG. Obviously, he is Qatari, and this is one of his Qatari friends, and he's saying that they just reached out to him and asked him, like, do you think this is a worthwhile investment on Manchester United? Is it worth all these billions of dollars? So there seemed to be a little bit of commingling going on there, but he has came out and denied all of that. PSG obviously just signed Ugarte from Sporting, and they're also looking at Lucas Hernandez from Bayern. We got the Neymar situation also that they're going to have to take care of here. Is Neymar on the move? Is he not? It seems like he's been linked to a Manchester City move. Again, Manchester City, if they sign Neymar, they would just keep on getting better. So we got to figure out what's going on there. But they are looking at Lucas Hernandez to possibly fit into their defense. Lucas Hernandez, obviously from Bayern, and Bayern just recently acquired Rafael Guerreiro from Dortmund. So it kind of seems like this is the end of the road for Lucas Hernandez at Bayern, and his next destination could possibly be PSG. And Bayern also just recently signed Lamer, the midfielder. So Bayern is also making some moves here. Keeping with some of the relegated teams, Leeds United, just newly relegated, has been bought over by the 49ers owners. So we've got some new owners in town for Leeds as well. Looking here at Real Madrid, Florentino Perez was just recently asked about Mbappe. He said, yes, I do want Mbappe, but not this year. They still need a striker, obviously, so we'll see what's going to happen there. They also just recently announced that they are launching their new streaming platform, which is just going to be like a whole bunch of behind-the-scenes videos, I guess, or some extra videos from the team. So possibly looking for some more money there through this streaming platform to gain some revenue, to gain some money to maybe next year or in 2 years make that big push for Mbappe. But it is safe to assume that at one point or another we will see Mbappe in a Real Madrid shirt. Who we know will be in the Real Madrid shirt is Nacho Fernandez, as he has re-signed for one more year at Real Madrid. And Brahim Diaz has just re-signed with Madrid until 2027, so he will be back with the Real Madrid team, coming over back from AC Milan. And AC Milan just signed Rafael Leão, confirmed that he will be the number 10 this next year. And Pulisic is one of their main targets. So Pulisic out at Chelsea, more likely than not, and possibly joining AC Milan. So beautiful day of football. Man City win the treble. We've got players going all over the place. It's kind of fun to see where all these players are going to try to kind of build the new landscape of European football and what things are going to look like next year. But let's move on to the NBA, where the Denver Nuggets beat the Heat once again at home to take a 3-1 series lead. And Jokic, man, just keeps on breaking records and adding new records. Last night, he became the first player to ever have 250-plus rebounds and 150-plus assists in a single postseason. Jokic domination just keeps on going in the NBA. And with every game that I see, I am more and more impressed by Jokic. Obviously, last night, Jokic got into some foul trouble late. He was on the bench for 5 minutes, and when I saw that happening, just like when I saw KDB coming out against Man City, I said, well, this is it. And It wasn't. It wasn't. Jokic sat on the bench for 5 minutes in the fourth quarter. That was the best chance that the Heat had of trying to come back, but it did not happen as he went to the bench with the Nuggets up by 10, and he returned back into the game with the Nuggets up by 9. And a big part of that is thanks to Aaron Gordon, who went out and had 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists. What a game by Gordon. It's the third game that the Heat have been held to under 100 points, and all three the Nuggets have won. The only game that the Heat won was when they went over 111 points. The Heat struggling from 3, but that has nothing to do with Kevin Love, who was looking like vintage Kevin Love last night, draining threes. He went on a little spurt right there where I think he hit 3 or 4 threes in a row. With these 3-point struggles, I can't help but wonder, will we see Tyler Hero in the next game? Obviously, Tyler Hero hurt. I don't know the severity of his injury, but I think that you have to throw Tyler Hero out there, even if it is just for a little bit, just a couple of minutes. You got to throw everything at Denver, because now you're going into Denver Game 5 with the Nuggets having the chance in front of their home crowd to win their first ever Larry O'Brien. And if the Nuggets are going to win it, I just hope that they either do it in Game 5 or do it in Game 7, because I want to see them celebrate in front of their fans. But it does seem like the Nuggets are well on their way to winning the Larry O'Brien trophy. Although we still can't count out the Heat. Obviously, the Heat have been in this situation. Down 3-1 is a little bit concerning, but we've seen the Cavs do it against the Warriors. Will we be seeing it again? I wouldn't put it past them. Jimmy kind of been just MIA almost. I feel like you don't see the dog in him, and I honestly think that the Heat are just exhausted at this point. The run that they have gone on, the Nuggets just look, obviously they have like the better talent, the better players, but they also just seem way more fresher than the Heat. The Heat have just gone through way too much. And being that the finals is 1 game away from being over, we are now 1 game away from finding out Ja Morant's suspension. Ja Morant, who just recently came out and said, "Hey guys, I was just kidding. That gun in the car, it was just a toy gun," which to me is just embarrassing, honestly. Like, that's really the best explanation you could come up with. It's a toy gun. If it was a toy gun, why wouldn't you say that at the time that it happened? Why are you waiting till now after you've already given out an apology? It just makes the apology seem even more insincere. It just kind of makes a joke of the whole situation. He's saying it's a toy gun. I'm hearing that there's 30 games suspension up on the table from the NBA. The NBA came out and said that they know some details that they have not yet released to the public. So I don't know what those are going to be, but honestly, I feel like if it was for 30 games, they would have already announced it. They don't want to announce it during the finals. I get that. They want all the attention to be on the finals and not on Ja Morant. But I personally think that Ja Morant is going to be suspended for a full season with no pay. So let's hope everybody figures it out. Let's hope we keep the guns away from Ja Morant. Another guy making headlines for the wrong reason, Zion Williamson. So obviously he's expecting a child, and we had a woman come out and talk about how he was basically cheating on his baby mama with her, and now we've got a third woman added into the equation who put out on her story talking about, "Oh, why didn't I get all of this stuff? Is it because you didn't let me record? Is it because I didn't let you have a threesome?" And then went out and called him a disgusting sex addict. So these NBA guys, man, especially some of these young guys coming into the league, this just makes me respect LeBron even more. The amount of basketball that LeBron has played, the amount of time that he's been in the league, and with one woman, his high school sweetheart, does everything the right way. You never see him in the news for anything negative. He's never embarrassed his now wife and baby mama with any of these stories out in the news. All respect to LeBron James. What a guy on and off the floor. Looking at some transfer news here, I was kind of just perusing the internet today, and I saw a possible Seth Curry to the Knicks. I feel like this kind of makes sense. I feel like the Knicks need a sharpshooter to pair up with Jalen Brunson. Seth Curry, obviously, insane player. He is on the Nets now. So, again, I don't know how true this is, but I'm seeing rumblings of Seth Curry to the Knicks, and I feel like it makes sense for both teams there, depending on, obviously, what the Nets will receive in the trade. Another trade rumor that I saw with Knicks players is Obi Toppin going to the Pacers. Obviously, the Pacers in a little bit of a rebuild situation here, but they have Halliburton, and they are in need of a power forward. So, kind of building a young core there would make sense for the Pacers, build for the future. So, Obi Toppin possibly going off to the Pacers. Let's see what happens there. But that is the NBA news that we have from today. John Morant obviously saying that it's a toy gun. The Nuggets 1 game away. The Heat continue to struggle. Zion Williamson can't keep it in his pants. And we've got Seth, Curry, and Obi Toppin possibly on the move. Now let's move into some baseball and some historic things that happened last night. Brian Hayes, absolute night that he had. 5 for 5. Obviously plays for the Pirates. 5 for 5. 4 RBIs, 3 runs, and 2 doubles. Beautiful night by Brian Hayes, so shout out to him. Darvish went out and got his 100th win of his career, so shout out to you, Darvish. Esteury Ruiz from the Oakland A's was the first player this season to reach 30 stolen bases, so shout out to him. Luis Arraez stays hot. He is hitting 400, and he's got more walks than strikeouts. Now let's go into some struggling teams. The Mets. The New York Mets have dropped their 7th straight game. They lost 3 to the Braves and 3 to the Jays, and they lost again last night. Their record is 30-34. Obviously, the Mets dropped a lot of money in free agency. They're expecting big things this year. I honestly kind of saw this coming when Edwin Diaz went down. I feel like Edwin Diaz was extremely important to that team, having that closer to come in and just finish the games. And once I saw him go down to the WBC, obviously unfortunate event for everybody, but the Mets keep struggling. They just keep committing errors. Pete Alonso, they're going to have to find a way to win without him because Pete Alonso is now out 3 to 4 weeks with a bone bruise and a wrist sprain. So ugly scenes down there over there in New York. The Padres also 30-33, and now I'm seeing rumblings that Juan Soto could be on the move during the trade deadline, which starts here in 6 weeks. The Astros lost their 4th straight game in 14 innings versus the Cleveland Guardians. The Yankees lost to the Red Sox. My Yankees, I should say. We've now lost 3 out of 4. Our offense is completely struggling without Judge. It's the first loss for Garrett Cole on the season. Garrett Cole had a great performance last night, but the offense was not able to come up. Volpe, the new shortstop, I went to high school with him, so I was obviously watching, and I can feel the nerve from him. And he was about this far away from hitting a walk-off. He hit one way out there into right field, and it just barely missed the foul pole, and it was a foul ball. Next pitch, he pops it up, and that was the game. So the Yankees lost their first game to the Red Sox. And that's the baseball news that we have. Shout out to Brian Hayes, Darvish, Luis Arraez. Let's hope that the Mets, Padres, Astros, and Yankees can all figure it out. Oh, and Esteury Ruiz. So shout out to them. Trade deadline again starts in 6 weeks, so let's see what kind of moves these teams make, if any. Let's see if there's any big moves that are coming up here that can kind of shake up the league. Now let's go off into some NFL. Commanders' new ownership, obviously still waiting on whether the move is going to be approved. It seems like the move has been approved, but now there's some problems with the trademark about whether or not they can move it over. They're waiting for other owners to kind of approve it. I don't really kind of understand what's really going on, but apparently they need some league meeting with all of the owners. Some formality, it seems like, because the trade is already going to be going through. But regardless of all of that, the new ownership has a massive decision to make with Chase Young not getting his 5th year picked up from the team. Obviously, he has had a lot of injury problems. He said that the knee between last year and this year feels like night and day. Says that he's better, he's back. He's not focused on the 5th year option. But obviously, as the team, you do have to focus on that because this is a player that you brought in with the 2nd overall pick. Obviously, can make a difference on the field when he stays healthy, but can he stay healthy? So I'm seeing some rumblings as well that they could possibly move on from him and trade him now to the Bears instead of waiting till the end of the season when he's a free agent. So possibly getting some draft capital back or some value of some sort from the Bears. So we'll see if he starts the year with the Commanders or if he doesn't. But regardless, after this year, he will be a free agent, and he'll either decide to re-sign with the Commanders or he'll leave the Commanders, and the Commanders will have absolutely nothing to show for it. So we'll see what happens there. Cortland Sutton is said that he's flattered by all of the attention he's getting from all these teams, but that he is going to stay with the Broncos. The Broncos obviously building now with Sean Payton. Offensive tackle Garrett Bowles came out and backed Russ. He said, all of you guys that are doing all this talking about Russell Wilson, you guys have no idea what you're saying. The Jaguars have announced their new stadium. It looks like a SoFi 2.0. It looks absolutely insane. Let's hope that they can win some games. But South Florida will be getting another stadium there with the Jaguars. And now last story here, going into NASCAR. So apparently there was some counterfeit part in Chase Briscoe's car. Again, I'm a very casual at NASCAR. I don't really know what's going on, what this means. But apparently they found some counterfeit part. He's been fined $250,000. He's suspended from 6 races. If he's a good driver, if he's not, I don't know. But I saw it on the news, and I'm bringing it here for you guys. If you guys, any of you guys are big NASCAR guys and know about this situation, let me know down in the comments below what any of this means. But let's hope that he figures it out. Those are the headlines that we have for today. Those are the news that we have for today. Now let's look forward into sports this weekend. Obviously, Champions League final, which I talked about yesterday, has been concluded. Shout out to both teams for putting on a great performance. But again, shout out to Manchester City. Panthers game 4 here tonight. 2-1, obviously, for the Golden Knights. Panthers looking to get their back-to-back win at home and stay alive. UFC 289 tonight as well. Main card again, Amanda Nunes versus Irene Aldana. Co-main event of Charles Oliveira and Beneil Dariush. RBC Canadian Open will be decided tomorrow. That is obviously golf. Justin Rose is currently in a 5-way tie for first place with Rory McIlroy just behind him. And the French Open, the final will be tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. So if you want to start off your Sunday morning with some tennis, they'll have that on. The final is going to be between Novak Djokovic, obviously, and Casper Ruud. So best of luck to both of them. This has been the crossover. Obviously, lead it off by the Champions League, which was a great match. The end of club football. Movement all around. Nuggets coming back, or not coming back, but yeah, coming back with another big win over the Heat. Baseball in full swing. NASCAR, apparently something's going on there. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Let's watch some sports here this weekend. We've obviously got a full slate of MLB and MLS. I'll be back Monday for MLS Monday, so make sure to subscribe and look out for that. I'll tell you guys about everything that went on in the MLS. I'll probably talk about Messi now. I'll probably have to talk about him every weekend on MLS Monday. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Come back for daily videos. Just updates on everything going on in sports, every single league. And come back Monday for the MLS Monday. And I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. And let's watch some golf and let's watch some tennis here for a change. And let's have a good one. I'll see you guys later. Peace.